Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today in today's webinar. My name is Ardian Berisha and I am the Portfolio Marketing Manager for Information Security and Management at PCB. Today we are presenting one of the most discussed and important topics in information security, crisis management techniques for cyber attacks. Our presenter for today is Ms. Stella Simiyu, who is a PCB certified trainer. She is the head operational risk and compliance at Bharti Airtel Money Africa, and she has over 10 years of work experience in enterprise-wide risk management. Her specialties include business continuity and crisis management, process improvement and maturity, and also training and capacity building. Before we get started, I'd like to go over a few technical points so you know how to participate in today's event. We highly recommend this presentation to be as interactive as possible, so you will have the opportunity to submit written questions to today's presenter by typing your questions into the question pane of the control panel. You may send your questions at any time during the presentations, as we will collect and address them during the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. You can also use the raise hand function, which means that we will unmute you and you will have the chance to ask the question directly to our presenter. Now, without further ado, we will leave the floor to Ms. Stella. Ms. Stella, please, you may start with your presentation.
Okay, thank you so much for the introduction. So I'll just go right into it. The topic again today will be on crisis management techniques for during the cyber attack. And as Adrian has well presented, I've worked in a number of organizations in the capacity of risk management, dealing with different risk management areas. And something which always comes to mind is on the interaction between business continuity, risk management, and IT security. These three frameworks are more or less intertwined, but many people don't realize that. So my topic today kind of covers the three frameworks and forms an interrelation between the three of them, focusing on business continuity and crisis management. So I'll start off with explaining a crisis. So what exactly is a crisis? A crisis, by definition, is a situation that occurs outside of normal operation and disrupts day-to-day business. Typically, when you are doing business continuity planning, you conduct what is called a business impact analysis. And what the business impact analysis does is it documents, or it gives you an analysis of once an event occurs and disrupted, what are the impacts over time. So they could be no impact, it could be a financial impact, it could be now a reputational impact. So as time progresses, your organization gets more and more impacted. So the objective of a business continuity plan and your business continuity management is to make sure that you reduce your impact over time. Let's take an example of an event. An event could simply mean that I have my main power, and my main power, because I'm in a third world country, I come from Kenya, and this is the third world, so our mains are not very reliable. So my mains are off, and the UPS then kicks in, and from the UPS kicking in, it gives me 15 minutes before my generator then kicks in, and my generator kicks in as expected. That simply will be logged as an event because it has been managed by my redundancy plans. An incident could come in when I have an incident, my mains are off, my UPS kicks in for 15 minutes, my generator is supposed to kick in as expected, but it doesn't, and I have to send someone, an engineer there, to manually put on the generator. So that results probably in a downtime of 15 minutes or so, and that then becomes an incident, and I log it as such. So now we go into the big boys. What is a crisis? So Again, same situation, my main power is off, my UPS kicks in for 15 minutes, my generator then fails to kick in, but unfortunately I don't have a generator on an engineer on site, and I have to depend on someone who is a distance away and call them up and tell them come and look at this generator. And because of that, I'm down for 6 hours before the engineer is able to come, sort out the problem, and my generator kicks in. Now, a disaster situation would be I then have my main power off, my UPS does not kick in, my generator does not kick in as expected. I then call my engineer. He comes and checks my my generator. He finds that my generator is packed up and cannot be used anymore. And now I have to buy a new generator. And unfortunately, my supply chain process takes me another 2 days. So I'm out of service for 2 days. And because of that, I have the customer impacted, the reputation impacted. I have the legal writing to me and saying, you know, you are mandated to give us this service, but you have not for the past 2 days. What is happening? So again, time and impact. And the faster you are able to recover, the better for you. So let's just keep that in mind as we progress. The situation I've given is not related to cyber attacks, but we will come to see why exactly I gave that example. So what are the common features of the crisis? You'll find that people are asking you for answers. You'll have your customer service team impacted. They'll be asking you, what do we tell the customer? You'll have your legal team telling you the regulator is calling you, and he'll be asking, what do I tell the regulator? You'll be having people in the business who are idle because simply the system is not working. The situation that happens during a crisis is decisions need to be made, time is short, urgent demands for information are received. You might find that you are being asked, who can we get this service from, which supplier can we call? So isn't it better to have this information beforehand, to have thought through, so that you can be able? So I'll take it from the top. So how likely is the cyber attack? As we've discussed, there are different situations we consider when we're doing our business continuity planning. But many people don't think about cybersecurity and how likely a cyber attack is for you. Just to give you some statistics, in 2015, there were 2,000 incidents of confirmed data loss, over 64,000 security incidents, and over 480 million leaked records. That is information which was provided by FireEye.com in a research that they did. So basically that tells you that in all organizations, the likelihood of you suffering a cyber attack is almost likely. So if you look at the industries that are typically targeted, you will see that in the same report, they then looked at the number of industries that were hit by cyber attacks. They range from finance industry, with finance having the most at 795. Accommodation and retail came in a close second with 282 and 182. And the public sector then became another big sector that is being hit. But from the breakdown there, you see that all industries are in fact vulnerable to cyber attacks. So then that begs the question, really, how likely is a cyber attack? It is actually pretty likely. And what is the uniqueness of a cyber attack? Well, there are different levels of cyber attacks that are carried out by cyber criminals. There are those people who simply want their message to be heard, and these are politically motivated. They are fighting against something, probably environmental or any other thing. They would probably hack the government websites. They would hack, you know, energy websites where they're saying you are then they are termed hacktivism. Then there's the cyber crimes and the data theft. Those are people who are looking to gain from their cyber, their cyber attacks. They will steal data and they will sell it online. They will steal financial records and sell it online. They will steal emails and sell them online. So what they will be targeting is your data points. They are those who are disgruntled, so they are looking towards a destructive attack. These are typically your third parties. It could be disgruntled employees. It could be people who just don't believe in your business and would want to disrupt your business. Then there are also the nuisance ones who simply want to cause a nuisance to your business. So different levels of cyber criminals target and have different objectives. And what a survey recently found out was that it takes 205 days typically before an organization is able to know that they have been hacked. Now, if you are taking over 205 days to know you have been hacked, now when we come to the time impact analysis, looking at that, how would you be able to recover if for 205 days people have been stealing your data, selling it online, or they have had access to your systems? Your exposure there is quite great. So the uniqueness of a cyber attack is it's not like a fire, or it is not immediately visible. You really need to dig in and to be able to know that you have been hacked, but the reputational and financial impact is great. So how do you prepare for a cyber attack? In summary, or in the circle there, what we have is a defense in-depth strategy for cybersecurity, which covers prediction, prevention, detection, and response. Predict involves finding out who will target you, how will they target you, how likely is it that they will succeed, and what are the impacts. Prevention covers what controls should I have in place. Detection covers even after I have in place the controls, there may be some blind spots, what we call the residual risk. So how would I be able to detect that residual risk? And then the response. So what do? I have been hacked. Now what is it exactly that I will do? So we'll go in depth into each of them and discuss them in depth. So predict, again, who will target me? So what you need to look at is your own internal profile and look at what is it that a hacker would want to get from me. If I'm a public institution and I am dealing with, say, the gender-based issues, would there be somebody who would want to give me a DDoS attack simply because of that? If I'm a financial institution, what level of records do I have? If I am a retail institution, am I accepting cards? Am I accepting mobile payments? How am I storing that information? Who would be interested in that information? So that will give you an analysis of who will target me. How will they target me? So what are the data points? Where is it that they can enter my organization? You would look at your network, you would look at your staff profile and see how is it that they will target you. And then how likely is it that they succeed? So basically here you would be making analysis of the controls which you have in place, the likelihood and the impact, and then find out what is your residual risk and what are the impacts if I am targeted. So again, here I just want to point out that we are a global village. I may be a hotel here in Kenya, which is 100 miles away from Canada, but I am holding information for Canadian citizens. I have their credit cards on my CRM system. If their credit card details are exposed, am I not liable? So as the world becomes more global, the contractual obligations then widen, your contractual and legal obligations. So while you may not have an country level legal obligation, you may have other legal obligations that you get tied based on your supplier relationships and your customer relationships. So then how do I prevent? So what controls do I have in place? Do I carry out user education and awareness? So do users know I should not share my password, I should not just press on any links? How am I doing home and mobile working? Have I controlled my BYOD? When I look at my configurations, are they secure? So do I have segregated networks? When you have removal media controls, is it that people can just come and put flash disks into my system and carry away information? When I look at managing user privileges, do I have a user access level? Is it maintained as appropriate? So looking at all the controls in the context of my business and making sure that the controls are in place, they are effective and they are efficient. And for where there is a gap, I know what the gap is. So once I do my prevention, there will be what I call the residual risk. So not all risk can be fully mitigated. And there will always be the possibility that there will be that entry point into a hacker. So what do you have in terms of your detection capabilities? So how will I know when I've been breached, and who and how can incidents be reported? So we have all these tools out there which can prevent hacking. You have your firewalls, you have your intrusion prevention system. All this you are basically have been put in place as part of your controls. But how do I know that they possibly have been breached, or I possibly have a breach? I should be able to create logs, and from that correlate those logs to know how and when I have been breached. And then who can report incidents and how are they reported? Again, a key way in which you reduce your time impact exposure is by having a correct chain at which incidents flow. So I have been hacked, I have pressed on a link, and I think the link was potentially, I can notice that that link was not a friendly link, and I want to report that. Who should I go to? Should I go to my manager? Should I send an email to the information security desk? Is that desk monitored 24 hours, or it's only monitored an 8 to 5? And once it reaches that desk, what then should be done? So all those things in terms of an incident response structure should have been decided. Then how do you respond? So you have discovered that yes, I have been hacked. Yes, this person has probably acquired these details. It has acquired customer details. It has I'm unable to access a particular system because I have been hacked. What do you do now? Well, you need to set up your crisis management team, and that team needs to have been trained beforehand. So if you have been doing business continuity planning, already you have a crisis management team in place, and this crisis management team needs to be well versed in information security incidents. So your CMT lead should be able to know, okay, this is an information security incident, how should I then act? Then your team, your internal team, depending on your size of your organization, may not be able to handle cybersecurity incidents by themselves. So do you have the capabilities in place to be able to handle cybersecurity incidents, or do you need to call on help? The typical help you may need to call on is cybersecurity experts who will do for you an investigation as to what level of information has been hacked. You will need to have a legal team in place to be able to let you know what are my responsibilities to my customer, to my regulator, how should I respond? You may need to have in place a communications expert who will guide you on how to respond. So assess how far-reaching are the effects of the breach. Do you know, or do you need an investigative team to tell you what is the impact? So then again, your cybersecurity expert comes in and he'll be able to tell you how far has your breach gone. Then how do I contain the breach? Do I switch off the system? Do I ask customers to change their password? So your cybersecurity expert would then be telling you what you need to do. And then manage. How do I manage my reputation and business going forward? Do I need to issue a press statement, basically make sure that give my customers the confidence that I have improved my environment subject to the breach. So all these things need to have been thought of beforehand, and they need to have been brought to the fore, discussed, and you need to have developed a strategy by which you will manage in case of a cybersecurity incident. And lastly, just to reiterate, what you need to do is, first of all, analyze your cybersecurity. So who will target you, why they will target you, and how. Analyze what level of incidents you want to be reported to you and how that reporting will be done. So let you know what your incident response structure is, who then gets escalated to what incidents. Develop scenarios around information security incidents. So with your crisis management team, try and develop a few scenarios, practice them, call in the experts, practice together with them, so that when that situation occurs, you are less likely to be confused, less likely to be making decisions on the fly, less likely to be panicking. And then practice, practice, practice. And where there are no internal skills for information security management, ask for help and seek help beforehand. So with that, I think I'm through with my webinar. I'm sorry for the disruption that occurred earlier, but I can now take a few questions.
Thank you, Ms. Stella, for this great and insightful presentation. We want to apologize for having technical issues at the beginning of this presentation. Now we will go ahead and take some time to answer some of the questions from the attendees. Do not forget to type your questions at the question pane of the control panel. It looks like we have a few questions. The first question is, what is the difference between emergency and crisis?
Okay. Now, when it comes to emergency and crisis, so a crisis can be contained with, if you look at the definition that I have put here, it has wider or long-term effects, ongoing implications for the business. Emergency is more here and now. So an emergency situation would be, I have a fire, I need to get my people out. I will not be thinking of what I need to do, to keep my business running. What I will be thinking of is I need to save these people's lives, and that is my emergency situation right now. So when you're in emergency mode, what you're doing is you have simply narrowed your focus towards saving lives. That would be how I would differ between emergency and crisis management. When I'm doing crisis management, it is an umbrella within emergency management, but for crisis management, I'm looking at making sure that my critical operations are in place even as my emergency is happening.
Thank you, Ms. Stella. Now, because of the time limitation, we are only able to answer one more question, and the other ones will be answered from Ms. Stella by email. So the second question is, from your own experience, which is the most efficient method that management should do to prevent and prepare for a crisis?
Okay, from my own experience, what I have seen is that it is a holistic effort. So there is no one thing that you can say you will do and it will help you prepare. You need to do the full what you call the full in-depth strategy. So first of all, you need to do your risk analysis very well. So once you do your risk analysis, you would be able to find out what are the situations which would typically affect me. Then from there, develop your mitigation plans. And from your mitigation plans, know this is the areas where I have blind spots. And from the blind spots, then prepare for your blind spots. So if you need to then get external help with your blind spots, get that external help in. So it's a circle of life sort of, where you can't say if you do this one thing, then you will be totally sorted. It is the full circle.
Thank you, Ms. Stella, once again for this great presentation, and thank you everyone for attending today's webinar. I would like to let you know that this webinar will be recorded and posted to our website as well as on our YouTube channel along with the PowerPoint slides. Once you leave today's webinar, you will receive a survey about the presentation, and we would appreciate it if you would complete it and provide us with your feedback. Also, if you are aware of a topic that you would like to discuss and participants would benefit from, please feel free to write down your suggestions. We would like to inform you that next Wednesday we will present a webinar in the Spanish language on the topic of risk management in information technology. For more information about our next webinar and other news, check our website www.pcb.com. On behalf of PCB and our presenter, thank you for joining us today, and we hope we will see you in our next webinar on Wednesday.